and role that IB Theater had for me on my semester 1. Okay, so first I'm going to get into a prior knowledge of the things that I had knew before I had come into this class. And I already had a, not a strong, but a median level of understanding of theater, and I had performed plays and theater acts when I was in middle school, elementary school, practically since my student career. But when I came to ISD, that's when I had realized that it was a bigger, I had to get more in depth with the character. Like, for example, in my old school, the teacher would assign you a role, and that's what you did, and then that's how the end of the school play would end. But you never really got to try out and audition for the role that you wanted. You mostly got it. And so this would be leading into my first experience, which, my past first experience was Little Shop of Horror. And Little Shop of Horror, as I said, I already had a musical background. But Little Shop of Horror gave me stronger push of just getting along, the grazing line of how to act and how to really portray a role as an older teenager, and not necessarily as a child or an elementary school student. And it's more than just a cute ditzy play that I had done before. This one was a more developed version of that ditzy play, because then again, I was still in 10th grade, and it was a play that I had performed for the school in order for them to see what we've been doing in that class. Which gets into my second point, which was we never really had an in-depth understanding of how to portray a character. You mostly just graze aligned and got over that surface, but you never really got in-depth understanding of how you had to act. And that ties down to the role that I was in, the fortune teller in Skin of Our Teeth, which you made me push really hard to get an understanding and to get a visual of what exactly I had to do. And to be able to become that character, I had to push and be one with her, or also be the crazy fortune teller / god figure that I was in the play. And that really made me understand what I had to do and how I had to become what I had to become. And this play, it wasn't just for show. It was to portray a message. Like Little Shop of Horror, it was a cute play. You got the role done. You didn't portray a strong message, but people enjoyed it. Now, The Skin of Our Teeth was a little bit confusing. People still enjoyed it, but the message and the intent was harder to understand, which leads me to my second slide, which is understanding the intent versus the impact and what the author is trying to say. And I learned a lot about that this year with the director's notebook, The Skin of Our Teeth, analyzing the play. It gave me, how would you say, a strong understanding of what the director wants to be, wants to portray and what he wants to say. And that also ties me down to the character as well. Do you portray that well? Do you portray that role the way it wanted, the way the director wanted it to be? Do you explain and get into deep analysis of what a specific phrase or quote in the play means? And I got to understand that more. And now, along the lines of acting, that controls to body language, the way you say something. Is that how the director wanted you to say it? Is that how the character is created to say, that specific line? Versus saying, come forward with thee, or come forward with thee. That emphasis on the role and on the line, and it explains deeply what we need to understand in order to portray that character. And that also ties down to, as I said again, body language, how you portray that role, and what you really understand about this character. And I learned a lot about that through the director's notebook, our first Criterion A project. It gave me a strong understanding of what I needed to be in order to portray that role. Okay, and my next slide is emotion. So we did a, a play where, not a play, but, I don't know how to say it. We did I'm sorry, I can't see the screen, but we did the song to set the mood, which was basically how you would give us a bunch of props, in the bag, and we also had to lay down all the props and emphasis on lighting, as well as does that song portray what you want it to portray. For example, in Skin of Our Teeth, the seniors in Act 3, they had portrayed a song called Sweater Weather which was an appropriate song at the time because it was a war zone. It was cold, and the fact that the seniors had sang the song instead of playing it really gave a stronger emotion to that part of the play, and it made me like it was captivating basically. And yeah, what else? Oh, also, it also has specific specific feelings that we have. For example, whether you want the scene to portray glorifying, if you want it to be sad, if you want it to show intensity. All this is depending on the music. For example, it's inappropriate to play a happy song during a sad time, so you would portray a sad song during a sad time to really emphasize the scene and emphasize the role. So the next slide that I have here, oh wait, I think that's it. So that's basically what I've learned during IB Theater. The most important thing to me was basically understanding what you're doing and understanding what you're doing it for. Like, for example, Skin of Our Teeth wasn't just a play where it was a confusing message. You had to understand that message in order to be like, oh, wow, the director was really smart in his choices. And that's something that really stood out to me. And I hope I learn more about director's impact and emotion and stuff like that to develop my theater experience as a student.